What's up guys, it's Trevor with Embers. Today we're doing a really fun review. I am so stinking excited. You know why I'm excited? This is a, what do they call it? A Franklin barbecue pit. You guys ever watch Aaron Franklin? Watch his master classes? That guy is like the master. He's brisket king. He like owns the brisket crown. He has an awesome restaurant in Austin, Texas. There's a line out the door. His specialty is offset smokers. This is an offset smoker that they personally engineered. I've been on the waiting list for over 2 years for this grill. It's finally here. You guys excited? Let's get it unboxed.
All right, so the first thing we need to do, I think this is like the only, oh my gosh. I think this is like the only assembly of this grill. Oh yeah, just gotta get a little pump quick. Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, so this stack goes right here. Oh my word, this thing is ridiculous. Okay, so here's the deal on this thing. So what makes this thing unique? Well, several things. I know what you're thinking. Offset smokers, there's no moving parts in this grill. So it's not like a pellet smoker that has a motor. It's not like a gas grill where you need to talk about BTUs of your burners, ignition systems, none of that stuff. Like this is like as old school as it gets. If you're not familiar with offset smoking, you basically build a fire here, smoke pulls through through your firebox and exits out the chimney, and the smoke is what actually cooks your food. It's as simple as it gets and as authentic as like real barbecue smoking gets. So if there's nothing to it, what makes this thing so unique? Here's the thing. Most of these are mass produced by manufacturers, and so they have to design them and manufacture them in a way where one, they can be affordable, and two, they have to be done in a way where they're easy to ship, transport, cost of raw goods, raw materials, all that stuff. This grill was not designed for mass production. That's why it took me 2 years to get one. This was designed for perfection, like to cook, to work the absolute best. So like Richard said, this thing being 700 pounds, you're not gonna mass produce something that's 700 pounds. It's made with American steel, it's made in the United States, and it's either 5/8 or 1/4 inch thick steel everywhere. Now, one, that's gonna make it expensive. Two, it's gonna make it heavy. But the main thing is it's gonna do is, from a functionality standpoint, why do you need that? Well, cheap offset smokers, man. See, and just like the simplicity of the grill, I'm going simple with a hand wrench, even though I know there's a socket set around here. So we're just going completely old school today. No, but the reason you want the thick steel is, let's do a little science project here. What happens to steel when you heat it up, Chris? Do you know?
It gets hot.
It gets hot. What happens when steel gets hot though?
Does it melt?
No, but it does change shapes. So when metal heats, it's gonna expand. And then when it's done, it's gonna retract or go back down. I don't know the scientific word for it. But cheap metal or thin metal, what's gonna happen is it's gonna misshape, right? Yeah. You're gonna lose your shape. And so you're not gonna be able to retain heat or retain smoke if you don't have a sealed firebox. So if you got a warped lid in those cheapo grills, I mean, you can get an offset smoker for $100 some if you wanted to, but it's basically tin, and this lid is just gonna, if there's a big gap in the lid, it's just gonna dump smoke, and not only are you losing heat, but you're not getting that tight airflow where that smoke's pulling across the firebox because it's gonna be escaping here. That's no good. So Aaron Franklin has made a ton of grills or a ton of offset smokers for his restaurants. I think he started as like a food truck or a little shack or something. If you're not familiar with his Masterclass, definitely give it a look. We'll include a link below to check it out. It's pretty awesome. So essentially, that's the biggest proponent of something like this, is just, it's really simple. Just really, really thick, good quality steel made out of expensive raw materials, this thick steel is going to retain heat, and of course it's not going to warp. And depending on your climate where you live, the thick steel being able to retain heat is going to be good for wintertime cooking. For some people, that's not an issue. By the way, separate note, we have a equipment malfunction, so Chris has me dapped up here with this awesome sweet mic setup. So, okay, so our handle spins. This lid is no joke. And then check this out on the inside. So our cooking grate here is removable. So this is all heavy duty too. Oh my gosh. Everything in here is just ridiculous. I mean, it is over engineered. So that's what's cool. You can tell, like, the guy's killing it at a restaurant, so it's not like he needs to mass produce these from like a pure profit standpoint. I'm sure he's making good money on them, but it's not like he's got to pump 1 million of these out. So this is cool that it's removable because some of them are welded in, so you can take this out and clean it if you need to. But it's a really simple machine. If you look here, we'll talk about the Firebox in a minute, but we sort of have this heat shield here, so our fire and smoke's going to hit here, and it's going to pull across our barrel here. Now, the size is engineered to the right size too. He says that you can cook up to 3 full-size briskets in here. That's pretty cool. Now, if you're cooking one, you're going to want to cook it as close to the smokestack as possible, which is another unique placement of our meat thermometer. You don't want a meat thermometer in the hood. You don't want it up away from the cooking grates. Where do you want your meat thermometer, Chris?
Oh, over here by the chimney smoker.
You want it as close to the food as possible. So that way you know where the food is at. You're reading the exact temperature. So look at this meat probe. Probe's right here. And honestly, your briskets, if you're doing one, it's literally going to be sitting right here. So that's really clever that it's put in a spot where closest to your meat. So he said you could do 3 here. He says if you do 3, you're going to want to put a barrier on the 3rd one for a log, because obviously closer to the Firebox, it's where it's going to be running hotter. I think these legs are pretty solid to hold this up. It's not going anywhere. Oh, by the way, Jordan 1 high top OG, I can't have that on them. Black Royal, that's an OG colorway from 1985. How sweet are those? Almost as sweet as this smoker. Grease pan's going to drip down here. That's really it here. Obviously, we have our chimney stack. Again, there's not a ton to review. It does come with this water pan. So your water pan can sit here. Always keep this full. This is going to keep your Firebox humidity in your Firebox, so your brisket or pork or whatever you're cooking isn't drying out. All right, let's look at the Firebox. Check this out. Man, even this hinge is no joke. So you can build your fire in here. That's a pretty good size Firebox. You can fit full size, I bet you 24-inch logs in there. Should we grab a tape measure? Let's see.
Check it.
All right. That's close. 22 inches, so you probably could do 20-inch, 18-inch logs, which most wood is cut to that size anyway. But the idea is, you see all these holes in here? So, has this cool Franklin design, and then air slots here. Apparently, that is for managing your fire. So it's the perfect amount of airflow for your Firebox, where you shouldn't have to be babysitting this all the time. As far as, you know, opening and closing the door. Obviously, when it's open, it's going to have more oxygen, and your fire is going to get hotter. But this cutouts should give you the perfect amount of airflow to maintain and regulate your temperature. So, I mean, it's not like he's reinvented the wheel here. I mean, it is still an offset smoker, but obviously with his 20 plus years of experience or whatever it is, he knows the tips and tricks to really dial this thing in. Now, why is that important? Why do I have one for myself? The reason is, one, I'm just a fanboy. I'm like geeking out over stuff. I think it's awesome. Owning a barbecue shop, like, he's the real deal. Pretty cool stuff. But honestly, offset smokers are really tough. Like, brisket's a hard cut to do. Like, even in a pellet smoker, which is dummy proof, it can dry out on you. Like, you're not messing with temp or anything like that. They're just really hard to do a good job with. In an offset smoker, it's even harder because you have to manage a fire. You have to know how to regulate your temps. You have to know bad smoke versus good smoke. Bad smoke's going to make your food taste tarry. So for me, if he's going to give me a superior piece of equipment that's going to help me manage a really tough cook, at least for me, maybe some of you guys out there are more seasoned or more polished than me, I want my equipment to work for me. Now that's what I talk about in our showroom, because we sell barbecues all day long. Equipment, if equipment helps you produce superior tasting food, it's worth it in my opinion. But if it's gonna cook the same, not necessarily. So if your equipment helps you make better meals when you're showing hospitality or having friends and family over, and everyone has a superior social experience because you cooked an awesome meal, that's worth the money for me. And so that's why I got one for myself. That's why I think this thing is stinking awesome. Comes with a cover. And you better believe we're gonna cook on it. Not only are we gonna cook on it, but are we gonna video it, Chris?
Oh yeah.
So I think for the first video we should do is put this thing to the test and cook 3 briskets and have like a party. I think we should just go big for the first cook. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cook 3 briskets in here. That's gonna be another video. We'll see how we do. I don't have a lot of experience with offset smokers because if you guys look over in this part of the store, that's usually what I'm cooking with. Kamado Joe, Weber, pellet smokers, machines that are a little bit easier, a little more in my wheelhouse. This isn't in my wheelhouse, but I gotta put my money where my mouth is. If I'm gonna be selling this kind of stuff, I gotta be able to say I can use an offset smoker. All right, this thing is such a beast. You guys know I named my grills if you haven't seen any. We call the Heston the Bad Dog, the American Made Muscle Grill, that's the Big Mama. This thing needs a name. Any ideas? Maybe Tate's with some customers. We'll ask Tate to get some name ideas, but we're gonna name them. Is it a boy or a girl?
A girl.
Yeah, we gotta treat her right. We gotta treat Mama right. Mama just has a nice roll to it, but we'll think of something. Stay tuned.